Hello, welcome to episode 14, I guess, Mike, of Honest
No,
Terminal.
we're 13.
No, it's not. It can't be, because 13 is an unlucky
Because we
number.
did 12.5, didn't we?
Ah, it's going to be
Part
14. You just miss it
It
out.
was
It's
episode 12.
no,
part one,
I
part
disagree,
two.
Mike. The Chinese skip numbers. We can skip a number. It's episode 14. And what?
Because 13's unlucky for some.
It's unlucky, yeah. I've
There
made
we
an
go.
executive decision. And
OCD happy.
Yeah. What's the name of the episode today, Tupads?
Today's episode is Bourbon, Brisket, and Bourbon Biscuits.
Yeah, man. It's got a ring to it, hasn't it? Bourbon,
It's a
Brisket, and
mouthful.
Bourbon, Biscuits. Yeah, okay, it's cool. So, yeah, we hung out last week, didn't we? We tore it up a bit.
Twice. I've seen you twice in a week. It's like
I
a
know.
record.
I've been to your house, which
Yeah.
you
finally came.
do you feel? I finally ejaculated at your house. Yes.
God, I hope not.
Dear
Yes. So I was hosting for National Bourbon Day. So your good self and our good friend Paul, who was like basically a cigar expert to an extent. So yeah, we you came to mine. There was an all-day barbecue I'd been cooking when I was at the house.
Yeah.
Didn't quite go to plan, but hey ho, we still had brisket. It might not have been the best, but we had brisket, and it might have had to have been put in a chili to make it palatable. But
No, it was fine. It was totally fine. Yeah.
Fine.
So we should level with people. We are actually recording this over lunch today because of our busy schedules, going out and socializing and doing stuff.
Yeah.
We even made a little excursion last night to go and watch some professional podcasters.
Yeah, so instead of recording the pod on a Monday evening,
For
like we
you,
normally
we
do,
selfishly went out.
yeah, we actually went out to watch some real podcasters do it. So yeah, we went to the Leicester Square Theatre to watch Richard Herring do his podcast, and his guests were Mike Bubbins off the Socially Distant Sports Bar podcast,
Yeah,
and Ed Byrne, who I didn't even know was on the bill, which was like an extra bonus.
yeah.
Brilliant.
Dropping in bits of stand-up as well there, those guys.
Oh.
That's pretty funny.
Quality. I highly recommend, if you get the chance, to go and watch one of Herring's live recordings at Leicester Theatre. They're only like 19 quid a ticket, I think, with bookings and everything. So if you're in London, got nothing to do on a Monday or whatever day, go and have a nose.
We got a free pack of comedy top trumps as well, didn't we?
Oh, we did. Yeah, we got the Relistapa top trumps. So it was like all these guests, how long they've been on, and yeah, all sorts of things. That was quite a cool little thing. Obviously, he did just say it's because he's got a garage full of them, so he's now trying to offload them. The sentiment was lost somewhat,
Yeah, just
but hey,
yeah.
I love a freebie.
It's just giving away whatever he could give away. Old bedding, pack of top drums, deflated football.
It was good. I think he never have I been exposed to such sort of talk of masturbation and sexual preference within such a short space of time in central London.
He's peculiar.
He is definitely a wine cask pervert, 100%. Don't even need to like ask him. I know he's into wine casks, and I'm sure he'd get into all sorts of stuff with wine casks. But yeah, we had a bit of a revelation with your good self, didn't we? On Bourbon Day, you selected a bit of a wine cask as your favourite out of 3 different whiskies at the time. You were. What did you give it out of 10? Was it a 9 out of 10?
Did I say 9?
I'm was.
Not sure I did.
Because I was sat there with such a big grin on my face because I knew it was a Catoctin Creek Barrel Select Rye finished in Zinfandel wine.
Right. Okay.
And kept it quiet, and obviously.
But I've already said
raved.
that you're going to get 1 in 6. That's 1 in 6. 1 in 10. That's really good. So that was just the exceptional one. That was very good. Yeah.
It's all right. If you want to just dip into the world of wine cask conversion, it's fine.
The rest
We're
of them
a welcome community.
The rest of them are underwhelming. So I'm gonna you just tell me the good ones and I'll have those, and the rest of them I'll leave to you to research. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. So water and coffee now. Bit of a lunchtime pod. And we're going to think in future, we're going to do what's in a glass and also what's been up your arse, what's been getting on your nerves. So I'm just going to share. We've got a dog called Leo, a little Cavalier, and I recently discovered that he's got a crystal meth habit because his teeth were atrocious. So he must have been sneaking off to smoke on his pipe or whatever. We've had to have 22 of his teeth removed. Basically, his head is like the size of a large conker. And to try to cram like 42 teeth into that is apparently impossible. So unlucky for him, he's now a bit toothless. And unlucky for us, we're now cooking special meals for him for a little while. So
he's going to stretch it out. He's going to work out quite quickly. He's getting sympathy.
He already has. Just gives you the sad face. And now it's like genuinely like having another member of the family, because you can't just give him kibble. He's having his own. There needs to be like a doggy Meals on Wheels to bring stuff around. And in terms of like what's been in my glass this week, well, we had a special day of yours, special evening with Paul. And
I put a photo up of sort of what we actually drank.
What didn't we drink? I was having sensible measures, just to be clear, very sensible measures.
You can have sensible measures, but when we're hitting about 25 different whiskies,
was it 25?
Those kind of measures are
between us though. Between us, I mean, and Paul was very obsessed with the, as he kept calling it, natural barley.
the Springbank natural barley.
Yeah.
Local barley.
Shout out to you, Paul. You get some of that natural barley in your son.
Yeah, good for you. But no, we had so bourbon wise, obviously we did swift into like different things like rye and things like that. But we had the Yellowstone Select. They sent a sample out to us. I think they sent samples out to everyone looking at Twitter and Instagram. It went far and wide. We jumped on Eagle Rare. We had a Calumet 15, which is a Barton's release. Balcones ZZ Top Special Edition.
Oh my days.
Stag. What else we have? We had the Iron Root Icor, Texan whiskey.
Yeah.
And then we moved into the rye. So we had 3 Catoctin Creeks, which were like a Southport exclusive, and they were finished in Madeira, rum, and obviously You're a Pervert, Zinfandel.
Oh, yeah.
We had the world's best whiskey from 2017, a la Jim Murray, which was the Crown Royal Rye, the Harvest something or other.
Okay.
And that is rubbish.
that was the screw top. That was the screw top.
The screw top, yeah.
Yeah, with the plastic screw top.
Like a screw top.
Nothing wrong with a screw top. You know, but that wasn't a good one. Yeah.
Wasn't a good one, no. What else we polished off? Paul finished off my Angel's Envy, which is a port finished bourbon.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah. And I think we kind of bourboned ourselves out there and then moved into like back onto Scotches. So we were doing, I think we had the Bimber first release, the first ever bottling.
There was Southport.
Matt's favourite bottle, which I think was the Bimber 124.
124, yeah. Shout out to Matt.
We had the Secret Macallan 17-year-old from Signatory Vintage.
Cask 28. Yeah, I wasn't blown away by that, to be honest. But
it was all right.
But we had it a bit at that time, so
yeah. But we had the we just come from the bourbon cask Macallan, which was
right.
The
that was actually very good. That bourbon cask Macallan was excellent.
Good. Yeah. Really wish I'd bought more of those when they were there, but that was good. And then what do we have? 70s famous grouse and Compass box.
70s famous
box.
Yeah.
Orchard House. So mate,
that was good.
We had a lot.
Yeah, plus Paul, had a wee measure of the local barley.
Or two.
It was great. Thanks so much to you, Mike. It was an excellent evening. You know how to style it out. Sitting in the garden, bit of sunshine.
Big fire going. Paul
you had the fire pit. You had the fire pit. So we're all sitting around on the chairs. The fire pit's on. Drams on the table. Then we went inside to your whiskey room where you just sort of try to sort of get rid of as much whiskey as possible. That's what it seemed like to me. And amongst all that, we also tried the Yellowstone bourbon, didn't we? Yeah. Which was kindly sent to us by Whiskey Me. And what are our thoughts on that then? I think I felt like it was... go on. You go first, yeah.
I think it sits well within a bourbon lineup. It's never going to sort of, it's not going to take the world by storm by any stretch, but I don't think that's what it's designed to do. Looking at the price and the entry point of it, it's just there to be a nice sipper and probably that step up from your Jim Beams and your sort of Jack Daniels that you're going to get in the supermarket. Yeah, I think it's like 46.5% ABV.
ABV is decent.
If you could say it's got all your standard bourbon tasting notes, it's got it. It was like vanilla, it was cherry, it's sort of jammy. It was lovely in that sense. But yeah, I think first or second in a bourbon lineup. absolutely perfect.
It definitely had. Look, it was. I think for somebody that doesn't drink loads and loads and loads of whiskies, I think it's a really good one to have in the cupboard. To be clear, because it's really inoffensive. It's actually really nice. It's got a good profile to it. Like it doesn't. It's not like too punchy, even though it's 46.5%. I couldn't really get the smokiness. No. Definitely a lot of vanilla, caramel, toffee, little bit of like jamminess. I think I would possibly reach for something else if I was. But if someone gave me a bottle, or
I wouldn't buy it over Eagle Rare. Let me make that perfectly clear.
I think that's the difficult thing, because you've got stuff like Eagle Rare out there, 10, and a few other, an extra £5, and then you're reaching to, for example, get Wild Turkey rare breed, right?
Rare breed, yeah,
a bit spicier, obviously, but like we, as much as anything, we were just making sure we celebrated National Bourbon Day, right? We were getting our bourbon downers.
We were
mixture of tumblers, Glencairns, depending on what the dram was, and we had a great time. And you kindly cooked brisket.
So my brisket, I put it on the smoker early doors. I think it was started cooking at 7.
Yeah, so let's talk about a bad workman blaming his tools there, Mike.
No. I'm not blaming my tools. My tools were amazing. So yeah, put it on the smoker at 7. I had tracked the temperature all day when I was at work. Came home, gave it a wrap in some butcher's paper as soon as I was in the door, just to ease it into that last bit. And yeah, it was just dry. It hit the perfect temperature, like literally textbook temperature
all day.
I rested it for 2 hours, and it was literally as soon as Duncan turned up after being very late. It was really sort of perfect timing. So I was cut into it, and I was like, ugh. And I kind of knew it, because I said to the local butcher, who's never getting my trade again, I was like, look, I'm doing a low and slow. I need a bit of brisket. I wasn't going to ask any more. That's enough. And it was a bit of a test for him, which he's failed hugely.
So it's bad. It was a bad cut of meat then, basically.
It's just the wrong sort of cut. You want the fattiest element.
But what you did with it though, still, I mean, by the time we had food, I was obviously starving, and you served it in a sort of bun with some coleslaw and some sauce or whatever, which was lovely. And then later you'd chucked a bunch of it into some chili, which was also excellent. So
So I knew as soon as I cut into it, I was like, that's going to be dry. Yeah. As soon as I saw the cut of meat, I thought, I think this is going to turn out not as it should. There was no fat vein running through it. So I put the chili on again all day as well. So that was just on the cooker all day, just slowly going. And then, as soon as you'd had your bun, and I was like, yeah, that's dry. That's getting chopped up and chucked in there. So loads of bourbon went in that as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The chili, I really wish I'd had more of, but that's my bad. I didn't ask for any more. Probably should.
Please, sir.
If you'd given me free reign on it, I think I've eaten the whole pot. So that's why I didn't mention anything. I actually forgotten I rode the motorbike over, didn't I? So I rode over.
He didn't ride it back, by the way. Let me make that clear.
I turned up at the wrong person's house. I put the wrong postcode in. That's why I ended up a bit late. And I was just in someone's driveway, and they were looking at me like, why is there someone here on a motorbike? And they were having a little flap, a little panic. It was she was a lady. She must have been sort of 55 to 60. She was having a little panic. I was like, don't worry, I'm friendly.
I'm not gonna kill you.
This isn't something from Luther. I've just put the wrong postcode in, obviously. And she was like, she really wanted to make sure that I left. I was like, don't worry, just give me a tick. And then I realised she didn't have 4G signal where she was. I was too much in the sticks. Yeah. And so I had to then ride off and then go and put it in again. So I think I was about 15 minutes delayed from flapping about, which was a shame. And then I'd left a little bit later.
Did you say 15 or 50?
I'd left later than I was supposed to. It was the end of a working day, wasn't it? I was busy working, and then I had to get off. So yeah.
Even from last night, he was late again. So what I've established, Duncan for a podcast, very timely. Duncan in real life, hour late.
No, I turned up. I turned up online on time yesterday, 10 minutes earlier than I said I'd get there, didn't I? Yeah.
That's a bite. That's a bite.
Yeah, I bit on that one. Well, not as much as my main pet hate of that whole evening was I was a reminder that if people have Alexa music when you're dramming and listening to tunes, Alexa is so bad because then people just keep changing the song all the time. Everyone just says Alexa and then says a new song. And so you only listen to like 20 seconds of every single song. It's like being at a Tim Westwood gig in the 90s where he only played the first 20 to 30 seconds of every single song. I
am slightly ADHD as well.
It's a nightmare.
I literally am like, yeah, that's a mega song. Done. Next. I've had my hit of
we're still getting to know each other, but my main request would be just pick an album and stick with it. Just go album, put it on start to finish. Don't keep flapping around changing music like you're at a disco. I don't get it. But having said that, still had a great time.
Yes, indeed. I felt it the next day, put it that way.
Yeah.
Probably for the next 2 days, if I'm being perfectly honest.
So I also
the only thing that made me feel normal was Blind Rams on the Saturday. Which is a bad state to be in.
That's what it's like when you get older, though, isn't it? You know, as you hit the rum age of 40, it takes you maybe 2 days to sort of recover.
I think I saw a picture online of my cousin's lad, and he's gone to Benidorm, and he's like what 18, 19.
I was going to say he's got to be 20ish, yeah.
Oh, God. I did 2 weeks in Magaluf at one point. And I'm like, how on earth would I... Yeah. I couldn't even survive an afternoon in Magaluf now, let alone 2 weeks on the piss.
No.
It's horrendous. But yeah.
Well,
it comes with age, mate.
These big nights, though, are still fun. So, you know, I hadn't been around your house. We hadn't caught a pool for a while. So we all got together and lit it up a bit, cut loose. We had some cigars as well. Then we brought cigars.
Ooh, so yeah, we had some nice Cohibas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice.
So that was
a chilled out evening.
Yeah. And then I'd also brought along bourbon biscuits because Mike's always ribbing me about not being able to say bourbon correctly. And so this is like his sort of Kung Fu master style test. So I feel like I maybe got it drilled into me now and I can say
so.
Bourbon.
You've only said it once today by mistake. So that's normally... That would have been at least 5. So
at least 5 times, yeah.
But the only other thing we have to work on now is your pronunciation of GIF. You say GIF.
GIF, yeah.
Like the old bath cleaner.
Yeah. So the other thing is, I think, the main point, the reason we were celebrating National Bourbon Day is because we actually are big fans of bourbon. You more than me, I think.
Yeah.
I saw your collection of like bourbons and ryes. And I was genuinely surprised. I didn't realise you had so many.
Yeah.
And for me,
I've got a huge influence from America. So I worked there like doing summer camps and stuff when I was younger for a good sort of 4 or 5 years. So I still got loads of friends out there. Weirdly, all my kids are now like fully grown up who I looked after, and they're all like lawyers and stuff in the States and doing really well. So it's like, yeah, it's weird. So I've still got this connection to America still. So yeah, it's just a little taste of like a previous life. Maybe.
But some people, yeah, I mean, that's lovely. Some people, they sort of say, well, you know, you get one or the other. But for me, they fill different places in my, like in my sort of spirits cabinet. Like some days I really just fancy a bourbon. Like this week, I really fancy, since then, I think it was like Sunday, I just really fancied a pour of that 18-year-old Tennessee. So it's George Dickel. Just really, it is sweet, but it's just like got some layers and some sort of sweet complexity, I guess. I just
especially
really
with the
fancy that.
We're having.
Exactly.
You know what? It does fit.
It does. Ryes are a bit spicier, aren't they? So if you like, your pour to be a bit spicier, then probably a rye's a better pick. But
there's method to the madness to have the difference between them. I think some people hate bourbon, or maybe they hate the thought of bourbon more than they hate bourbon themselves.
I think, but there are older bourbons. That's what I'm saying. You know, getting like an 18-year-old George Dickel for about 90 quid, 95 quid. That's not that much worse than some single malts these days from Scotland. No. You know,
if you think about it, I mean, for those that aren't kind of aware of the difference between them. So if you think a barrel of spirits in Kentucky is going to be sat still in a warehouse or a brick house or whatever. During the day, that's going to be getting 35 degrees, potentially pushing 40 degrees some days. And then at night, you can have snow like outside. Yeah. It'll drop right down. So that liquid gets forced into the wood with the heat. And then as it gets cold again, it gets sucked out of the wood. And that's where it's drawing all the colours, because all bourbon has to be aged in brand new oak casks.
Yeah.
So it takes all that like first flavors out of it, all the like sort of extreme stuff.
Isn't it over 50% of it has to be that? Or I think it's all of it's in brand new oak.
It has to be in brand new oak and aged for a minimum of 2 years.
And it needs to be, I can't remember, it has to go in at a certain strength or whatever. But yeah. If you think of the difference with Scotch, so if you had a 4-year-old whiskey from Scotland that's been in Islay in like a steady temperature the whole time, it's just a slow absorption into the wood. And you get those more complex flavour from Scotch as it gets old because it sort of chemically starts breaking down the woods where it releases all these different flavours and stuff into that. Whereas America is, as you'd expect from Americans, just like hard punch in and out.
Yeah, just
so, and that's why when you get an aged one, you've it's like supersonic. You're getting that in and out, but as well as breaking down the wood as well. It's a long time to be in America to have in those temperature fluctiations. Like
I've been really
how
really
they get
impressed.
anything that doesn't just taste like you're chewing a block of oak. It's damn impressive.
I think that's why that boutique 24-year-old that's so famous, that there was like 5,900 bottles of, or close to 6,000 bottles. So there's a big batch that was a 50 cl bottle, which was 24-year-old, which is known to be Heaven Hill, where it spent 12 years at Heaven Hill Distillery in the US. And then got flown over to Scotland after the fire and spent 12 years being stored in Scotland. And I don't know where it was stored, but that's why I think that one's a bit magical, because it's got more sort of the most kind of like complex bourbon I've ever had.
But if you think about it, it's like, again, it goes back to cooking. Like if you're cooking a brisket, you've got to, once you've done it, it's had that super heat, that super thing. Then those 2, 3, 4, 5 hour resting periods for cooking is so important. Maybe that's the trick. So you've got all that climate, heat in America and then chill out in Scotland.
I would love to see someone do that again and take something that's maybe done 10 years in the heat. You could think about the same for like milk and honey, right? Or anyone that's in a really hot climate, where basically they store some barrels in the really hot climate for a while, maybe like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, or let's just say 5 years. And then they move it somewhere cooler. And ideally, I've got to say this before I forget, ideally, maybe go dunnage with it. And then, because how much of this is the spirit, a bunch of it, but then how much of it is the fact that, in Scotland, you've got maybe more interesting storage conditions, right? You've got the heat somewhere else, but in Scotland, you've got like the dunnage warehouses, the coastal areas.
The elements.
Exactly.
And I think that's probably the difference. I think if you think of, unless you were, I don't know how you do it. I don't know if there's anyone out there doing it in America, but it'd be very like easy enough to say dig a bunker and age some stuff down there, because the temperature is going to be the same, but then you're not getting the wind and the external factors from outside, so you kind of losing that on that element. Whereas
someone needs to sneak some barrels or casks into one of those server farms where they have to keep it already cool.
If there's
like it's air conditioned or whatever,
somewhere coastal in America, like somewhere like Seattle, Washington, somewhere like that, which is slightly colder than sort of the other side. Yeah, that'd be perfect for it, because you're still going to get those heat extremes. But if you just built like a little warehouse, just protect it from the heat a little bit, but still have air circulating from the coast, you could be onto something magical, maybe.
So it was a really great night, and obviously we're fans. I'm a Scotch fan first, but like definitely bourbon's got a sort of growing place in my drinks cabinet and heart, I think. And I don't love all of them, just to be clear, but the ones that I do love, I really love. I think that's probably the way I put it. We should also we also did a bunch of more blind dram tasting, didn't we?
We did. Ben Whiskey with Molly did it, and
he harpooned everybody with his theme.
His theme was good. It was like eerie drams.
It was just an anagram. There is no theme. It's very clever.
Good. But he had probably the most consistent scores I've done for a while. Like, I think I had 3-3, 4-3-4, which is normally I'm like 1's a 1, something like this. There was always quite a high fluctuation. They were consistently decent, bordering on 5s. But there were some lovely drams in there.
And there was another one, which was a wine cast one, wasn't it? Which was the Ben Nevis, the 4th one. Was it the Ben Nevis? Yeah, and that was probably people's most interesting. It's quite syrupy, wasn't it? And so, what do you remember? Was that Cabernet or something? Anyway, whatever it was pretty wild. I think it was like 12-ish years old. Probably completely misremembered it now.
Glen Murray port cask. Murray.
That was the Glen. the Glen. The Glen Murray was number 5. That was the peated port cask, which we had already had.
Decent. Yeah.
We had that tasting, didn't we, at Whiskey Live, and we just weren't allowed to talk about it because it was obviously a secret. So yeah, I was pretty much a fan of that too.
What else did we do? So National Bourbon Day, we were hoping to try and get a bit of a collaboration going on as well for that evening with my good pal Jack, who is on Instagram and everything else socials as Jack Meat Shack. He is now a full-time barbecue chef. That's the way to do it. Yeah, so he teaches people how to use the big Kamado grills and stuff. And yeah, the plan was he was going to do a brisket as well. We were going to go on live. We were going to have a chat and just share a dram, talk about how he got into whiskey and things. But sadly, that didn't come off. So that's something we are going to look at down the line, is get another, like an Instagram live and a YouTube live going with Jack. Get that sort of barbecue theme going a little bit more. Because I just think food collaborations is another good thing that people might be sort of interested in.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, thanks for the update there. And when we were out on the tiles in London, I introduced London Town. I was out in London Town. When we were out in London Town,
the prices, by the way, dear Lord!
I tell you,
we were drinking in Leicester Square area. London's expensive, but tourist trap. I was not happy. The Welshness came out in me. I was raging at the cost.
You didn't look happy. If anything,
£7.15 for a bottle of beer.
Yeah,
I nearly glassed him. But
it's if anything is going to persuade you that you should be taking a hip flask out, it's probably that. Because we spent a reasonable amount on not too many drinks, to be honest, and we could have just snuck hip flasks everywhere and had the odd glass of beer. Anyway, so I introduced you to a Godfather, which you'd never tried, which is my favourite cocktail.
Godfather.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen.
I thought I was out, and they pulled me back in. Right.
That was a really easy drink to order at the bar as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. It always used to be that difficult because people, it's just whiskey and amaretto, but they just don't think you would mix them together, because you're not saying, if you say Godfather, like if you're at a proper bar, they know what it is. But if you're just at a pub, they're like, don't know what that is. So you say, okay, it's whiskey and amaretto. Can I have both in the same glass? And for some reason, this just seems to really confuse people. Maybe it was partially what I said. But anyway, you've tried it for the first time. So what we're going to do in an upcoming episode is we're going to do variations on the Godfather, which is one of my favourite whiskey cocktails. And so basically, other than the standard, like what type of whiskey you put in it, you can put other stuff in it if you want. It's got to remain a cocktail, right? Yeah. None of this. It's got to be a cocktail which is only spirits. I'm not having it. Just ground rules. No Coke or Cherryade or any of that nonsense. You're not highballing it. It's a cocktail. So that's the rule. It's got to be a cocktail which is actually derived of spirits. Yeah, and it has to have whiskey and amaretto in it. Yeah, and then you can,
because we had the amaretto and we had it with Copper Dog blend last night.
Yeah, worked perfectly, didn't it? Right?
Really? Yeah. Like I said, I haven't tasted it elsewhere, but that was good.
It is a sweet drink. It's sweeter. So maybe the thing I'd like to do is take some of the sweetness out of it with some bits. Anyway, we'll see. So we're both going to do a couple of versions, and then we'll give each other a recipe and we'll try them and we'll see what's best. Yeah. And it's like our attempt at, I don't know, innovation, right?
Innovation. But we'll see. Cocktails and barbecue.
Yeah.
We're branching out.
Yeah. So we're keeping it short today, though we will be, for the next pod episodes, introducing a couple of new concepts, which will be interesting. We've been inspired by Richard Herring's random questions. So
good. So good.
Yeah, very good, right? And we'll be introducing those. We've got a few more guests lined up. So from me, Duncan, I want to say thanks very much for continuing to listen. And if you haven't rated the podcast, give it a rate wherever you're listening to it, whether it's Apple or Spotify. And if you haven't followed us on Twitter or Instagram, give us a follow if you can. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for listening. And just to reiterate what Duncan said, the reviews help it get spread around, and we'll get more listeners, and we can start doing more stuff if we get more people liking us. So, assuming you like us, that is. If you don't, tell us why. Any interaction is good interaction, I guess.
Yeah.
So subscribe, follow along, and thank you once again for listening. We'll have a longer one for you next time, and take care. We'll see you on the next one.